Hafide, Zantiro, Casalelier, and Mogisin, and welcome to the One Micronesia Podcast. And we're here another week, another episode, and I'm so lucky because out of nowhere last night, I got this message like, "Hey, I'm coming through Guam. I have time. Did you still want me on the podcast?" I'm like, yes, I want you on the podcast. So, the timing and everything, she travels a lot. She does a lot of traveling to represent the CNMI. Not only that, but also represent Guam, the Marianas, and of Micronesia as a whole. So she's doing a lot of that, and she had time today. So I'm like, yes. So here with us is Representative from the 22nd CNMI Legislature, Sheila Babauta. Sheila, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So, right when you walked in, you were asking, I was like, this is like a chill talk. Just cool. Getting to know Sheila. And awesome. You're very inspirational, especially to the young the younger generation here in the Marianas and across Micronesia as well, for all that you're doing, the legislations that you are implementing in CNMI, and at the same time, when you're out there, you're not only representing, like I said, not only Marianas but all Micronesia as a whole. So that is very inspiring to see. So I wanted to get you on here and to just chit chat, and the first part of it is getting to know you, Sheila.
Awesome.
So tell us more about you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Let's see, what do we want to share? I was born and raised on the island of Saipan.
Nice.
I'm one of 5 children. I'm the second oldest. I'm a product of the public school system. Very proud of that because I see firsthand how much our public school system has improved. And I'm very proud of that. I love being outside. I love going to the beach. I love going on hikes. I love exploring my home as an adult, which is a very different experience. And I was gone for 10 years. I went off to continue my education in Hawaii. I spent 7 years there, lived in Washington State for 3, started a small business, worked in the financial services realm. And then I was ready to come home. And, I always tell students, I tell friends, family members, come home when you're ready, because if you're not ready to come home, then you won't enjoy it as much. But I was ready to come home, and that was in 2016. I moved home. So I've been home for about 6 years now, and I've loved it so much. And of course, I know there's so much work to do. That's the reason why I'm in office. That's what really pushed me to run for office. But, if I want to see my vision, a shared vision that I have with many others in our community manifest, if I want to see that vision manifest, then I got to put in the work, right? We got to put in the work.
Have to.
And so, yeah. And so we're going to make it happen in my lifetime, in our lifetime. I tell people 50 years from now, I'm still going to be here. I'll be 83, 50 years from now.
Wow.
So if you think about that, there's so much that we can get done. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And it's really nice to see that the leadership in Micronesia now, you're seeing this new trend of younger the younger generation kind of jump into to those high offices and try it out. And because there was this whole mentality back in, they say 20 years ago in Micronesia and the leadership, that it's like, okay, no, you guys are so young, your turn will come. Let us, let the older generation take care of this. But it's nice to see now that they're opening the doors to getting, the younger generation to come and have their take and their say and with laws and everything. So that's so nice to see. And then seeing you in, the legislature as representing our generation, that's so cool to see.
Well, I am one of 3 millennials, and we started last term. So I'm serving my 4th year in office. And, this upcoming election, we see many more young candidates. And regardless of party, I reach out, I give them a call, and I congratulate them for making the decision. Because you know what? It's our generation's time. And I tell them that, it's our generation's time. We have gained experience. We have furthered, our education. We've traveled. And now we're home to contribute. So we don't have to wait for someone to retire or step down. You just gotta take the leap, and serve if we want to see the type of Marianas that we envision. And so I'm really, really happy about that. I love seeing our generation step up, take leadership positions. And, you know, quite frankly, there's really nowhere in the world other than Panama, because I have met with the delegation from Panama and Scotland, that have young leadership.
That's amazing.
And there's lots of opportunities back home, you know, because we are a small population, because people come and go all the time. I mean, where else can you find leadership positions available for, you know, 20-year-olds, mid-20s? I was elected at the age of 29. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's been an adventure. It's definitely been an adventure. And I'm so grateful for my community and their trust in me. And I respect the office so much. I respect the seat because really that's what it's about. It's not about really the person, you know, it's like the seat. I respect that role very much. I take it seriously, and it's been a blast. I've grown so much.
You touched on climate change and all that, and this is you literally your trip right now.
Yes.
We have this time off. You have this time off, so you're making time for us on the podcast. But after this, maybe a day or two, you're going to travel again. So we're gonna talk about the climate change, that aspect of your life and what you've committed yourself to in the next break. We're going to take a break, Sheila. But when we come back, that's definitely what we're going to tackle next. So guys, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Hafere, Zantiro, Kasalili, and Mogithi. Welcome back to the One Micronesia Podcast. So we're here. Wow, the story, the conversation is just inspiring. It's an all-in-one thing right now. What a journey you've been through. The things that you've done abroad for the Marianas and Micronesia as a whole. Amazing. Let's talk about what's next. I know you're headed to DC right now with the youth, and it's something that you're very passionate about, to giving back to the younger generation and in teaching them and giving them the platform to do their thing,
right,
their way, what they want to do. The platform is there for them. So let's talk about what's next for Sheila Babauta.
Yes, well, after that, I do head to Hawaii.
Nice.
I was accepted into the Young Pacific Leaders Program, so that's mid-July. And then I was also accepted into an academy for elected officials for Asian, American, and Pacific Islanders. That will take place in early August in DC. I'm really excited about that because I do have ambition for a future in politics. You know, I see the importance of competent leaders in politics, because at the end of the day, like, my vision, and it is a shared vision of sovereignty, of independence for our Marianas, is there, and it's political. Like, it's political. It is an arena that is, it's lively. You know, the political arena can get very passionate. There's passionate individuals. There's major issues. There's, you know, everyday lives that depend on the decisions we make on the Hill, the type of laws that are enacted, the kind of programs and projects we roll out, how we allocate funding, right? I mean, all of that is political. So we need strong political leaders in our community. And although I also am aware that this political system is a Western introduced system into our society, which can be very divisive, you know, among families, which is heartbreaking. I'm aware of that. The reality is, right now, this is the situation we're in. And so we need strong leaders in the political arena, and I'm aware of that. So I plan to stick around. I plan to run for higher office in the future, and also, you know, take care of myself along the way. So when a break is needed, and the length of that break, you know, is like just up to me, I will take that break. And so there's future in politics for sure, and a future here in the Marianas. I'm not going anywhere. I plan to raise my kids here when I have them one day. I plan to retire here. You know, I'm going to be here 50 years from now. I'm an invested stakeholder. I'm a daughter of the Mariana Islands of Micronesia, you know, and I love this place. I love this place so much. I mean, it's worth protecting. It's worth investing in. And when done the right way, like, we can only like go up from here. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like you talked about, you know, at the beginning, you talked about you went abroad. You did your part. You did what you had to do. You took into education.
System.
Yes, you did that. you graduated. You worked abroad. You gained some experience, and then you were like, the island was like, okay, are you ready? And you're like, yes, I'm ready. I'm going back home.
Right.
So you did talk about that in a little bit. Like, you're telling the younger generation, like, go, but when you're ready, come back.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So, like you said, like, you're going to be here for another 50 years, and yes, you know, and you're here to do and protect, you know, the Marianas and the Micronesia as a whole. So that's something awesome to see. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, it's definitely the last remarks, the closing out. Where can people go to follow you? All of that's coming up after this. Hafere, Zantiro, Castelleli, and Mogisi. Welcome back. One Micronesia Podcast. We're here with Representative Sheila Babauta, who's taken time off her busy schedule to sit down with us here. She's on Guahan, getting ready to travel for her next meeting out in the States, which is pretty much always about, and I think the main thing is climate change. So let's talk about that. How did you, at one point in time, did you commit yourself, like, I am gonna fight for this? This is a big problem. This is something that's been happening for so long that you know, somebody needs to step up, especially from small islands like ours. Somebody needs to step up and talk to these big countries and open their eyes to know that this is really happening in our own home island. So tell us how it all started.
Man, you know, I wish I could give you a date and a great story of like how I chose this path. But honestly, like, and I don't mean to sound cliche, but it really chose me. And that sounds so cliche after just saying it. But, you know, I first attended a public hearing when I moved home.
Nice.
And I attended because they were going to build a huge hotel in front of my house, a couple, like, you know, blocks away from my house, in front of our beach, a very popular beach on Saipan called Papa Beach. It's in the north side. And this was happening during like the Asian tourist boom, which was just a couple years ago, right? And so I attended the public hearing because I wanted to share my experience of living in Hawaii and how overdevelopment is not what we want. It's, in the long run, will not be good for our people and our experience, you know, our quality of life, really. And at that public hearing, I was so passionate. I'm way more diplomatic now. And then people started to give me questions and give me information to share at several different public hearings after that. So they started to trust me and, you know, kind of channel their voice through my voice, which I was very glad and honored to do. But the reason why I attended that public hearing was because of the impact it would have on our environment, the impact it would have on the beach, on our beautiful view, on, you know, the sacred land that would be destroyed, right? And so that's what called me into the public hearing. And then my community really encouraged me to run for office. But because we grow up in this beautiful place, I mean, it only like makes sense because it's a part of us. It's a part of my childhood. It's a part of our history, our ancestors, right? The ocean is our oldest ancestor. She feeds us, nourishes us. I mean, gives us peace, joy. Like, we have fun at the beach, right? We go there to de-stress. I mean, the natural world around us really takes care of us. And so we must do that in return, right? We must take care of her as well, because taking care of her really is only taking care of ourselves, right? And so like that's really how it all started. And then my love for the Marianas grew as I traveled to our sister islands. As an adult, I visited Luta for the first time. I learned more about Guahan as an adult. I used to come here as a child. I have family here. And so I would spend summers here, and I loved Guam, you know. I then visited Tinian, and I went up to the Northern Islands. I've been there twice now, and I just see how honestly freaking special we are. Like, how blessed are we to be from this beautiful place? And one of the reasons why I truly know that is because I've traveled, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've traveled and I've seen other places. I've seen other homes, and like, not to throw shade or anything, but people tell me like, wow, that's a photo of your home. What are you doing here? You know, like, why aren't you there? Right? And so all of that, like, compounded over time, really lifted the veil, right? Like, of everything I was taught. At 17, I was ready to leave, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
we're so ready to leave. Like, I want to get to the mainland. I want to get to a mall. I want to go shopping and like do all these other things. But then you do that, and then you realize that where you came from was actually like the best place.
Right. Yeah. And it really takes you leaving home to know what you've been, you know, what you've been missing all along. And and like you said, it's like for you, it's like as an adult, you're back, and now you're seeing things in a different perspective.
Yes,
you're like, wow, like, you know, like I can't believe I used to, you know, run to the beach just straight into the ocean.
And
you
it's
know,
not normal
yeah,
for people. Like,
because back in the States, they travel hours and hours just to get to a beach or something like a beach. Right. So
and then you get to that beach and it's cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Like, this is not a beach. But, you know, experiencing that and doing the work that I do, being exposed to all the threats, right? Like, loving my home, our home, and then seeing what is threatening our home. That's how I really got involved with the work. Like, okay, there's militarization, there's climate change, you know, we have symptoms of colonialism still lingering in our community. And then we have ongoing colonialism. We have the colonial mindset. I mean, like, we can go on and on. So there's a lot of work to do, and I'm really, really happy that there's a community. There's a huge community in the Marianas, like, doing this work, who have been doing this work for decades. Like, this is not new, right? Like, and I'm so grateful for mentors, for them sharing their knowledge and history. I mean, I'm so grateful for their work, and I really feel like it's just carrying that on. And so they pass the baton, right? And so they always share how grateful they are that there are young, energetic leaders ready to take it on because they've done their work, and, you know, they want to relax, right? I mean, like, we live in paradise, right? Like,
and you talk about it. You talk about our generation, a generation that's been through a lot, and we adapt so fast. So, so for them, they did their part during their time. Now, with technology and everything that we're adapting to, and that we know how to guide our way through, we can take whatever that information that they've carried and they've put together, and now we're pushing out on our terms, on our platforms. So that is so cool to know.
And using technology like a podcast, right? Like social media. I mean, we're building the network. We're casting this net, and we're gonna make it happen.
We are.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna happen, and with leaders like you, you know, out in Saipan, we have Micronesian Climate Change Alliance here on Guam. We have also activists back in the FSM, and I know you know Yolanda.
Oh yes,
she was like number 4 she was like episode 4 on the podcast. Yeah,
awesome.
And also wanted to tell you that now I have 2 I have two guests on my podcast who have gone as close to Obama as friends, and who can call Obama a friend.
Yes.
And I am a big fan of Obama, his work, and when he was in office, but even after his office and what he's doing with his own foundation. So that is amazing to see. And like I said, I watched your video when you introduced President Barack Obama onto the stage. How was that feeling? I wanted to ask, like, as an island girl who looked up to somebody like that, and now you get to introduce him. How was that feeling?
Man, that was really, I felt super inspired. I was so grateful. I was really honored to be asked to introduce him at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, right? This is an international conference with like hundreds of countries from around the world. And it was an amazing experience. And to think that wasn't even a year ago. You know, that was last November. And to meet a great world role model. Like he and Michelle Obama and their family, they're great role models. And I truly believe that's what we need more of here in the Mariana Islands. And so I'm really grateful for their leadership in showing us what it looks like and what it can look like, right? What a presidency can look like for first time, African American to take office, and then what it will look like afterwards. Starting a foundation, investing in young leaders all over the world, connecting them and inspiring them to continue working. And I work with the youth a lot, and so I completely understand why. The youth have so much energy. Like, we're still considered youth.
Yeah, but like not, yeah, I know.
But like, man, high school students, college students, when I'm around them, like they just energize me. And I realize like, oh my goodness, this is why the Obamas love being around the youth. They inspire me. They give me energy. They give me hope. And they just need guidance and support. And that's what he's doing. And so like when we learn from our role models and then, tweak that for your location, for your home, only good things can come out of it. And so I've been so blessed. I'm so grateful to have this network. And Yolanda's amazing. Julian Uglin's amazing.
Yeah, we have many
like
young,
so many. Yeah, Regine Viscoli, right? Like the Austin Shelton, Kara, here on Guahan, and Sammy Birmingham Babauta is the other Obama fellow from Saipan, and so I'm glad to see it continuing, and our network still intact. Like we still keep in touch. It's
a very strong network, and I love that. It's
great,
and that's what we need. Like you say, to create and make the spread the net. Grow the network, and that's how we make it happen.
And that's what's happening right now. On my way to DC, so I'm on my way to DC with a youth delegation. They got accepted to the National Youth Adaptation and Leadership Congress. It's pretty much an Indigenous climate change Congress for Indigenous youth from around the nation. And so we have seven students from the public school system, from the CNMI. First time ever for us in the CNMI to participate.
Nice.
And they'll be meeting hundreds of Indigenous youth.
Yes. Wow.
And they'll all be working on their own different initiatives. And this group that we're taking, they wanted to focus on food sovereignty, which is really important.
Very important.
As we move toward sovereignty. And so they're going to work on that in DC. We're going to bring it home and they'll implement it their senior year. So they are going to create their own networks when we get out to DC. And so I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for them. Some of them, it'll be their first time flying on an airplane.
That's awesome. Sheila, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about what's next for Sheila Babauta, and then we'll come back again and pretty much close out the show. Guys, we're going to take a break. We're watching the One Micronesia Podcast. We'll be right back. Hafadid Tiro Kasalele Mogisin. Welcome back. One Micronesia Podcast, the last part here. So, wow, like I said, what an amazing and inspiring talk, Representative Sheila. So the last part of it is a message to people who follow you, a message to the people of the CNMI, the Marianas, and of Micronesia, or a message to the younger generation who's watching it and is very inspired by your journey and what you're doing as this generation. So talk to the next generation. What would you tell them?
Oh my goodness. Thanks for that question. One thing that I follow, one thing that I stay close to is really to be an ancestor that our descendants will thank.
Wow.
And I think that's
very powerful,
isn't it?
It is.
It's not mine.
Wow.
I must get that. But it is so powerful to think of it that way. Think of your behavior, your decision making, your leadership in that way. Because we are ancestors, right? Ancestors in the making. And we are here with a responsibility. And I take that responsibility very seriously, right? We have this blessing, so we have a responsibility. And I would just encourage the younger generation, our communities, to really pay attention. You have purpose every day, every moment you have a purpose. And to pay attention. It's hard to do nowadays with a lot of distraction, but when you trust yourself, when you pay attention to your intuition, right? What excites you? What gives you energy? I mean, that can only mean good things. And so that's why I enjoy working with the youth. That's why I enjoy the leadership, like programs and personal development, conferences that I've attended. It all just really keeps me inspired and motivated. And I also would love to encourage everyone to go outside. Yeah. Go outside. Spend some time outside. Put the phone down. Right? Yes. Oh my gosh, it makes a big difference. And whenever possible, if given the opportunity to visit our sister islands up north, please come. Come join us. The Northern Islands is beautiful. That's the best place to put the phone down and go outside.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You
actually have no choice. And so, when you look around, when you pay attention to how you're feeling and you look around, it will just really answer any questions you have. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of us, we're searching for answers. We're searching for happiness and joy and love in our lives. And it is around you. Yeah. You just got to pay attention.
That's awesome. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful. So the last part here is, so how can people follow you and follow your journey? And like I said, you were about to hit the DC. You have more, and I know there's like tons of conferences down the line that you will be you'll be invited to speak on behalf of the Marianas and Micronesia. So how can people follow you?
Yes. Well, I am on social media. I try my best. Oh my goodness. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at Office of Rep Sheila Babauta or my personal page, Sheila Babauta. I'm at that 5,000 friend limit, but I will clean it out soon. Make some space. And yeah, I'm pretty responsive. I try to stay in touch through social media. It is a blessing and a curse, right? But you gotta find that balance.
Yes.
Yeah, you just gotta find that balance.
Very important.
Because what other way can I keep in touch with like a huge group of people than through social media? So I'm grateful for that. And my family's on there, my friends from like elementary, right? So yeah, a quick search will do.
Awesome. Well, Sheila, like I said, thank you so much. Thank you for making time. Literally, like you were on your way. You could have been, just chilling and relaxing at the beach right now before you head to DC, but you took time to jump on the podcast. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Really, it's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
having me on.
And keep doing amazing work, because it's literally, like I said, we're making sure that the next generation is taken care of. So Thank you so much, and you're definitely doing that.
Oh, Jesus Mossy.
Thank you. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up the podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.